do you monitor on the big ATCs or the little ones? Or
when we do tracking, actually, yes, we do.
They're
lovely.
SM200 ASLs?
Yes, exactly. They're lovely.
Yeah,
I've got so happy. We're so happy.
Yeah, great.
And
what are the little ones? These are 25s?
Yeah. Those are amazing as well.
Mm.
But the 200s are crazy because you can have them fairly loud all day long.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you're killing yourself.
No. Yeah.
They're not piercing your ears.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a certain degree of loudness.
Yeah.
You never
should I've got SM100As.
Oh, they're great. We had those for a bit before these.
You wanted double the bass.
Yeah, but I mean, it made sense also for the kind of enclosure in the wall. We had some U8 speakers before, which were absolutely terrible. The A13s.
Right, pretty hard sounding. That was all with the side lamp bulbs in them.
Exactly. Yeah, the limiters were the light bulbs.
Yeah.
And horn bass speaker as well. Yeah. Terrible. They were. I mean, they were really harsh, really, really harsh, and no low end.
No.
I mean, not the low end we need.
No.
These are performing amazing.
And Mark's cool with people borrowing his guitars and pedals and things. And
well, I mean, the request always goes through him. You know, like nobody would bring a person in here without asking me.
Sure.
Because it's his house.
It's
his
exactly.
It makes absolute
like his
sense.
home studio, isn't it? So.
But I mean, to be honest, most of the people, if I bring people in, usually they bring their own instruments.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fine. He's fine with it. And again, I take extra care. Yeah. Because I always check them, and being a guitar player myself, I can tell if there's something wrong. And if there's something wrong, I just straight away either bring it to the tech if it's too crazy, or just adjust it myself. Because it makes sense. I mean, it's an amazing collection of instruments. It needs love. Everything in this studio has a vintage vibe, and it makes sense because Mark is a huge lover of vintage things, but it needs love. Like if it's left there and used once in a while, it won't last really long. No. That's why it's good for me to be here, because then things can be kept alive. And kept alive is probably the right term for this kind of technology.
So if you're mixing, do you bring everything up, mix it on the desk?
I try not to.
No?
Just because, two reasons. A, noisy. I don't want to denoise the mix. Like the last thing I want to do is denoise the mix. B, things can change any time, and I might have a different session tomorrow, or Mark can come in and say, I want to use the studio. How can I recall and then bring it back, knowing that the tolerance of this desk is... Yeah, of course. It's not necessary. No. I don't have the total recall thingy. So you're happy mixing in the box? I don't mix a lot, but I'm happy about mixing in the box for practical reasons. I might use hardware inserts. Yeah. And then recall those, because it's easier. But at the same time, I've done both. I've done both. Probably the record I'm mixing today will stay in the box, because it's easy and we can get it done quicker. But at the same time, it's something that we're gonna mix and not come back to it, because we know where we're gonna go. So I might actually have different stems on the desk and summit. It depends on the song as well. It really depends. If there's like a lot of silences, then I won't have it because it's super noisy. Yeah. So what kind of things have you learned from Mark that you didn't learn at college? Does he ever reach over and go, hey, this thing, Ricky, where you go, or put this particular mic on a particular thing? Has he got a favourite kind of thing? I know you said he's not particularly technical, but he must have a few tricks. He has great tricks. Like he is not the person that would like, hey, Ricky, check this out. He wouldn't be that person, because we're always working. There's never time for that. No, there's always we need to do this, we need to do that, and I am always on the fly. But like he has his own sweet spots in mic choices for things. Clearly, every piece of gear we have here is something that comes from his taste. Like he built up this collection of instruments and synths and outboard gear because of probably like his experience throughout the years in going to different studios and finding that this specific Pultec version, which is the one they have a lot in Avatar studios, for example, is the transistor one. This is what he likes the most. EQB1A3. Yeah, it's a non-tube version. Wow. And now we have 4 of those. We had 2, now we have 4. We bought these from Snap Studios. Okay. Or the 160s on the kick and the snare, for example. Certain things that he really likes, and I know that. That's a good trick. Yeah. My job is to know what he likes. So then when it's like, oh, let's do drums.
Presumably
cool.
less and less he has to suggest. What
he needs to think about the music, not the technical.
But I guess presumably in the early days he would say, we're going to record acoustic guitar. Use a whatever. But
I always like. Let's say I am in charge of every technical choice.
Yeah.
Because that's my job. But I would always consult my decision with him. Like, knowing it's a song that needs a very bright acoustic guitar, I'll be like, hey, do you want this? Do you like this? Or maybe do you want to try this? And we bring it, an idea that I have. But again, our mic collection is very limited. We don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because you've got a huge amount of outboard in the rack.
We don't have a Neumann mic.
Really?
We don't have any Neumann mic.
Okay.
That's not good advertising.
So you've got your shirts and you've got your
No, we don't
ribbons.
have shirts. I had them borrowed.
They were borrowed, were they? Nice.
Yeah. We have quite some dynamics, quite some ribbons.
Yeah.
And a pair of 451s.
Right.
And a Manley reference.
Okay.
Which is okay.
Yeah. So have you suggested to Mark that he needs to buy more mics?
Yeah, and he likes some Neumanns. Like we used 67s a lot on overheads and stuff. 47 tube for vocals. Yeah. Amazing.
So you'll rent one in if you need to.
Yeah, we rent them in. Because this is becoming more of a commercial place as well, like I'm trying to make it more interesting for people. Yeah. Like clearly if you have a good mic collection, people would like to come here. Yeah. It's slowly gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. It's an investment anyway, because buying a huge collection of Neumanns is. I'm saying Neumanns just because they're famous. I mean, it could be anything, but it's a lot of money.
So apart from Mark's love of DBX 160s on the kick and snare, what kind of things do you like doing then that you can tell us about technically, or particular ways of recording things?
Of how we do it with Mark, or like how
you do it? Yeah.
Well, this thing of the 160s is very interesting because they're super fast. They're too fast.
Yeah, well, they go click if you're not.
There is one sweet spot where it works.
And
that depends on drummer and drums and everything.
Yeah.
But I usually go kick and snare.
Yeah.
Kick in and snare top. And I never really go above 3 or 4 ratio. And I would say it's like kissing the needle.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Wiggling a tiny bit.
But kissing the needle here is 5 dB.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the meter goes up, down all the way to 40.
Yeah.
I always show people that you can tell this is a very, very fast compressor just by doing this.
Yeah.
Look at it. Isn't that the fastest needle you've ever seen? They're amazing though.
Yeah. I always thought they're doing more than they tell you they're doing, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes. They look like you're on 3 to 1, and it's compressing a tiny bit. It sounds like it's on about 19 to 1.
What these give to me is consistency.
Yeah.
But without being too snappy, without being like clicky in a way. Yeah. Because I mean, to test how fast they are, just do that, and you have a hit where you have like a microsecond of sound, and everything else is literally down.
Gone.
It's faster than light. It's ridiculous. I quite like 165s actually. Yeah. I wish we had a pair.
Yeah, it's funny that, because I was saying that to somebody, because there's 3 different plug-in versions of a DBX 160, but nobody's ever done a 165.
No idea why. Yeah, but they've done that.
Yeah, I know.
This is the only compressor I own. This is mine.
Is it? Oh, right.
And it was worth nothing before they did the plug-in, and now everybody wants one.
Oh, really? I always quite liked those.
They're nice.
Yeah, we had some at Livingston when I was there. So
I mean, they're nice from a facility point of view because you have the de-essing thing, but at the same time you have the 165 thing while having the compressor and the peak limiter. Yeah. So you can get huge attack and then contain it. That's what I like about the 165.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I learned that in Italy from Andrea. That he does that all the time.
All right.
Get a very nice attack, but then not have it go crazy and have the limiter just
keeping a handle on things. Okay.
And that works a lot.
Right.
That works really well.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good tip.
So this is nice.
So you mean you have the attack reasonably slow?
Yeah, exactly. So it's poppy.
Yeah.
Poppy's not.
And what instrument would you be using that on? What are you talking about, on a drum or snare?
Kick and snare, yeah.
Snare. Right.
Or drum bass.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't do what I told you about the slow attack and thing. That would be kick and snare.
Yeah.
At least as far as I'm concerned. Or acoustic guitars could be nice. But acoustic guitars, I have to say, this is my sweet spot. It's just amazing.
Fairchild 670.
Yeah. I've done for this project. I've done with that I was producing. We've done. It was a very intimate song.
Right.
So acoustic guitar, like a Gibson, played with hands. like strummed but with hands, so very soft.
Mm-hmm.
And ribbon mic
Yeah.
into the Fairchild. Amazing, like the most.
Just one mic?
Just one mic. The Golden Age R1.
Okay.
The green one, the powered version. Beautiful mic.
Right.
Great. That into the Fairchild.
And
Clearly
how close would that be to the guitar?
Just usual 12 fret. That much.
Yeah.
5 centimeters, sort of.
Pretty close then.
Pretty close, but we want a very intimate sound.
Yeah.
And the whole thing happened, but it's not like it's magic.
Yeah.
This thing sometimes is magic.
Yeah.
Or the combination between the things, and I mean the player.
And what would you have that set on? Fairly fast.
As it is.
Number 2.
This one. This top channel.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a strong believer that it's not about the settings.
Yeah, of course.
Like this worked on that, but it will not likely work on anything else.
No, when I get home and try and do it, it won't work.
It won't work. Exactly.
Not that I've got a Fairchild.
Or it might. Well, it doesn't matter.
You got 2.
Yeah, exactly.
You do?
No, I've got an Anamod ATS.
Okay.
Not the ATS, the AM670.
I could have done it with anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, not anything else. But what I'm saying is that I'm not a believer that it's the Fairchild making it special.
No,
Without this, it wouldn't happen.
It's the guitarist.
Exactly. It's the guitar. It's the music we're playing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the whole thing together. But like, maybe it's because I don't hear things. But I'm not an engineer that thinks that, oh my God, you have to have this like that, and that's the magic. Like otherwise, it won't be as good. Well, no.
Okay.
I'm not that attached to settings.
Good. Yeah.
But maybe I'm just ignorant.
I don't think so. I think you're a very wise man.
Nah.
Wise beyond your years. So how old are you now, Ricky?
I'm 22. I'm going to be 23 on Sunday, actually.
On Sunday. Same birthday as my younger daughter.
Great. Well, happy birthday in advance. But
likewise. Yeah. Happy birthday to you. 23.
Yeah. It's
jolly good.
I know. I'm young.
I wish I was 23. Yeah. Have you got the Mark EQs as well?
Yeah, that's actually something I decided to. I told Mark I wanted to buy because
Well, I've just reviewed the EQ4M, which is the rack mount one, which has got an extra. It's got 15K on it as well.
Okay, that might be useful actually. They're beautiful. They tend to make you want to exaggerate.
Yes.
So you need to be careful.
And
it's very, as you see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it makes
a lot.
And it makes it loud, doesn't it? It makes the volume.
I wanted to see the curves. So the waves, Q clone, Q capture.
Yeah.
I put that through.
Yeah.
So flat.
Yeah.
Like that. You just boost something, and the whhole thing goes up 60 dB.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Loud is better. Did they teach you that? They're saying.
Yeah.
Louder is better.
Let's try to get away from that. No, but they're really nice. They're really nice.
They are. No, I love them. I think they're great. There's a plugin as well, isn't there?
That's why I discovered about them.
Yeah.
The UAD plugin. I mean, Plug Alliance, whatever it is.
Yeah, I've got. There's both. Yeah.
And because I was using that a lot, I was like, why not having these? We haven't used them much since we got them, but just because we haven't done a lot of recording. They're just great though.
Yeah, good for backing vocals if you just want that real bright kind of.
Absolutely, it's good also for bassing, like not bassing, but like
mastering,
like drum bass or mastering as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be aggressive. Like this on the master could be a bit too much.
I mean, I find this is really aggressive.
That's really aggressive.
It's nothing like that. If you put that on 2.5,
it's different. Yeah.
And you put that on, you turn that up and it takes your head off. That one.
What's funny is that at 40, it goes all the way down to 2K.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it's amazing because it's super smooth.
It's very, and even all these bands as well, they're very wide. They're very broad, aren't they?
Yeah. This is 10 hertz. The sub.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Of course, center frequency 10 hertz. Then it goes all the way to I think 100 or something.
But yeah, it does sound great.
Really, really cool.
What were you saying about? We were talking about Adele and Adele.
Credits.
Credits. Yes.
Credits. No, I mean it's without sounding pretentious or anything. It's important to make sure your name is on it if you actually done something. Because at the same time, if you haven't done anything, don't push for it. But like, I always when I do a record or sessions, I always like write a polite email to the manager or whoever is the person, like my reference for that artist, like saying, hello, my name is, I worked on this. Is it possible to make sure that my name is mentioned on this? But purely because then it's something that stays in your career and in your experience on paper. You have that. It's yours. And you didn't buy it and you didn't it's not like they paid you or anything. It's your credit. It should be yours. Yeah.
Well, that's very forward thinking for you to do that. That's a good top tip, isn't it? Because we're always asking for top tips in these videos, and that's a really good top tip is to if you've done a record, email them the next. When you do it, like the next day.
Well, I mean,
just before you go to bed.
yeah.
I've just mixed this track.
Exactly. I mean, I try to understand when the record is done and when they will be in that phase of putting the credits. Because if you send it, like, if I do a session today with an artist and then I send the credits, I mean, the record maybe is done in a year time, they will forget about it.
They'll have forgotten you, yeah.
But
they won't have forgotten you, but they'll have.
No, but
you might slip off the radar.
There's a lot of things to consider in a record, especially from management.
Well, especially when you look at the credits on a record, like
exactly, where you literally have a different team for every track.
Yeah,
there is some continuity in terms of mixing, maybe or producing, but so
there's a lot of people
different.
Involved, aren't there, as well? So
absolutely, a lot of people that were in my course, or then that were before or after me, they're completely opposite. They're like, I'm not gonna go and fucking serve coffee and teas in a studio for free. I want to be an engineer. Yeah. And I was like, dude, like, well, you have to go through it.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough not to have to. Well, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that before.
Yeah.
And that probably helped me in a certain way,
Yeah, because you'd already got that experience.
Exactly.
And it's probably also a lot of it is people skills, isn't it?
Absolutely, well, 100%. If you don't have that, there's no hope for you to have a career in this field, I believe.
Is that something you feel you've had to work at, the people skills, or is that something they teach you at SAE, or is that
no, they don't
something
teach
that just came naturally to you?
I think I learned a lot in the studio in Italy.
Yeah.
Because Andrea is a master of that.
Right.
And clearly seeing different productions without having big responsibilities on your shoulder make you open your eyes to see every little detail.
Yeah.
And including how people react to things, how they deal with different things and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was a big learning thing,
right.
like huge learning thing. And I apply that every day.
Right.
Because, I mean, this job is about being locked in a room with certain people for several hours.
Yeah.
Or several days or months.
Yeah.
You don't want to be uncomfortable.
No.
You need to be comfortable, and you need to, everybody should be a family. I think everybody should be like a family that is working towards the same goal as a group, not as individuals fighting or something like that.
Yeah.
Not many people get that. No, actually, I mean, not all the people get that. But it's super important. More important than even knowing how to use a desk.
Absolutely.
Like, you could be the best engineer, but if you're a dick, it's difficult. I think it's difficult.
So what happened? So you finished your course?
I don't finish my course yet.
Right, okay.
That's the point. At the time, I was working for a studio builder in West London. I was a slave, basically. There was this guy that is a guy that worked at Olympic or something, and now he was a studio builder, but like, I was a fucking slave.
So you were doing this while you were doing the course?
Yes, in the afternoons, basically. During the second year.
This is to pay your way a bit.
Just to get some more money. I was getting like £40 every 2 days. Nothing, but anything, whatever. I'll take every. I was at that point then. Anything is experience. Anything is worth doing, and then you go from here to there, and then from there to there. It's worth it.
Yeah.
So I was working like a motherfucker for that, and then at the same time I started assisting at Red Bull Studios.
Red Bull Studios, yeah.
The one in Tower Bridge.
Right.
Through SAE. Because like one of my biggest theories of going there was like I want to try and be the best first, because economically it's a sacrifice for my parents. I need to demonstrate that I'm using as much of this as possible. And B, if I want to go somewhere in my career, I better demonstrate that I'm worth something.
Yeah.
So I always try not just to have the best grades, but at the same time to like establish good relationships with the staff.
Yeah.
So all the supervisors and the teachers ultimately. So Carlos Lelis used to be the head of the audio department at SAE. He is now the head of audio department at the Abbey Road Institute, and we're really good friends. Yeah. And so he was the top dude in the school. So and one of the best teachers I've ever met in my life. An amazing teacher, amazing engineer, everything. And it was my interest to build a relationship with him, because it's stupid to say, but if there's any job opportunity coming to the school, who is going to be the person in charge of that? Him. And so that happened, and so the Red Bull thing went through him, and he said, "Oh, do you want to try? Do you want to?"
So it was like a placement.
No, it was just
Assisting
assisting for free,
unofficial
intern, whatever.
Right, okay.
Great, they had an SSL. Happy days.
Yeah,
I went for that, And it was fun.
Yeah.
So we've done a couple of things. We've done Skepta. We've done a few electronic acts. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't last too long, and it was kind of like on and off.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an everyday thing. The other thing was more of an everyday thing. And I was at the same time writing my dissertation. So last 3-4 months of my course, no lectures, just time to write the dissertation.
Yeah.
And one morning I wake up and I get a call from Carlos on my mobile. Like, what the fuck? And he's like, well, Ricky, there's an opportunity, like a big opportunity, and I think this is for you. But I'm not going to tell you who this person is or whatever the job is if you don't promise me you're going to accept.
Right.
Like, I have to be sure you are up for it before giving your name and everything. And I'm like, I'm here, man. This is what I've been waiting for. Just tell me. So he tells me it's Mark Ronson looking for an engineer in his London studio.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this is not what I'm used to. Meaning, like, it's a huge thing. Like,
and why did Mark Ronson contact him, or why?
I think he went through a process of contacting all the audio universities.
Right.
So they probably called all.
And why did he want somebody from a university rather than somebody, say, an assistant at Metropolis or something?
Well, I mean, frankly speaking, because we are young and we don't expect to be paid a lot. Cheap, yeah. And at the same time, we can learn
his way of doing things.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
We're more flexible.
Yeah.
With our mind. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Makes absolute sense. So I was like, of course I'm up for it. I mean, it's amazing. It's a top producer. He's worked on amazing records like the Amy Winehouse stuff. I was like, fuck, let's go for it. Let's go for it. I mean, I was still writing my dissertation about who cares. I'll don't sleep at night, but I'll make it work. So basically, long story short, I got in touch with Mark's assistant, personal assistant, who arranges the interview, which is here. And I come here a day for an interview that is 10 minutes long.
Right.
Nothing. Mark is sitting here with my CV, asking me what it's written on my CV.
Right.
So, like,
just to check out.
Just repeat.
Yeah.
And their main interest was like, we need a guy that knows how to use tape.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fine. I know how to use tape. For
how
two
do you know how
reasons.
to use tape then?
Well, tape in Italy, in the studio where I used to work, they had tape. So I had the chance to...
Not just Cubase then?
Not just Cubase. Well, that was the home studio.
Yeah.
Clearly, in the big studio was Pro Tools and all that. But they had the Soundcraft Saturn. Something you don't see a lot.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
But
auto lineup.
Very, very interesting. I never used it personally. Like, I wasn't in charge of it, but I was around when they were using tape. So you get to know certain things.
So you put this on your CV?
Well, I put familiarity with tape machines and stuff. But then at the same time, I say we studied tape for 2 weeks. Yeah. They don't teach tape anymore. Funnily enough.
Right. Really?
That's
so
really
that's very,
sad.
very recently then they've stopped doing that.
Very sad. They have an Atari MTR 90.
Yeah.
They put that in storage.
Wow. You'd think that would be kind of resurgence of, with people buying vinyl records and things.
No, that's funny because people don't care.
No.
Students don't care about that.
And I guess it's an expensive thing for them to keep running.
Yeah, but it's important. Like,
well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Anyway.
Like certain things like this. Where does that come from? People don't know that.
No. Yeah.
But that's a stupid thing, but it's important to know these things.
Holding one button, pressing the other.
Exactly. Like that comes from tape.
Yeah. And
some people are like, oh, what a funny way of doing it. And I'm like, do you know that? And they're like, no, why?
I never use that actually. I just press 3.
easier to punch as well.
I'm too lazy. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
But and so I was confident enough to say familiarity with tape, but they wanted especially somebody that could use tape.
Right.
Because we have 2 tape machines in here. We have a Studer 800 MK1 from 1981 and a Scully 280.
Wow. Is that 8-track?
8-track, 1 inch, from the 60s, and that comes from Sun Studios in Memphis.
Wow.
It was the backup machine there. I mean, if most likely Elvis recorded on that machine.
We'll just have a look at it in a minute.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a photo of you stood next to that.
Like that. So that was their main request. Yeah. Clearly, they wanted somebody skilled with gear. And
so, did you know how to line up a tape machine at this point?
I think I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I definitely knew how to do it on MTR 90.
Yeah, that's what I learned how to do it on.
And if you ask me now to do it, then I'll probably struggle a bit because I think tape is just about being in the process. Like if you do it every day, you have it's fresh in your mind. Like if I go back to the MTR 90, I will be like, okay, let me figure it. Give me 1 minute, and then you do it because it's a process. It's not rocket science. But so he asked me things. He shows me the studio around, which was quite different from how it is now. It was very messed up.
Was it?
It was very messed up. A lot of things were broken. There wasn't any in-house engineer or people here every day.
Right.
Mark is a producer. I mean,
so he'd employ somebody for a couple of days to do something.
He would have on-call engineers to come up and do sessions, but clearly, like there wasn't anybody tidying up or anybody checking that the gear is.
So this was the idea that he was going to get somebody young,
like an in-house engineer,
to actually be here all the time.
Exactly, which was what I've done.
Yeah.
So I do the interview, which is just 10 minutes long.
So you're his first in-house engineer then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I leave, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll let you know." I'm like, "Oh, we'll see what happens." And the day after, I get a call being like, "Can you come for a trial?" Yes, and I run here, and this is funny because I come in here in a studio that I don't know, with a console that I don't know, with a tape machine one of the tape machine I don't know, because the studio is fairly standard as the lineup and stuff, but the Scully is a bit funky. So with gear I don't know. In a studio that I don't know how it's wired up, I know nothing. And clearly, Mark is a producer, he's not an engineer, so he wouldn't know exactly all the wiring and all that. He would know most of it, but he wouldn't know all the technical bits. And I'm asked to do a recording on tape, on the Scully.
Yeah.
Now, let's do it. And that's Uptown Funk. That's my first day.
Right.
I was on a trial.
So who was here to record?
It was Mark recording guitar with Jeff Basker, amazing producer, producer of the year actually this year with the Grammys. And I'm like, okay, this is a challenge, but I'll make it work. Yeah. So, some things were broken, some things were not like very traditionally arranged or certain things. The Scully is in a weird position in the patch bay. It's not like hardwired to anything. So I need to get my head around this, but at the same time I need to be fast enough not to break the vibe, not to they want to record, they want to go for it. So we were doing guitar through the tape machine, but the song was in tools. So it's pretty much what Ben was talking about in that interview, but easier because we were doing one instrument.
Right, okay.
And I made it happen. It worked in the end. So I read the manual of the Scully the night before on the internet because clearly, I mean, you don't find Scullys around that easy.
Lucky to be able to find the manual on the internet.
I managed to. I don't know how, but I managed to find it. And it's just a slightly different process. You don't have like trim pots for everything. You have the gain control is on a huge pot, and then the bias is done a bit differently. Yeah. It's just slightly.
Is there a line-up tape for it then?
Yeah, of course. I mean, without that, I would be screwed.
Yeah.
But it's just a different tape machine. It's a different technology. It's 20 years before the Studer, so clearly they have some things in common, but not everything. Yeah. But it happens. Yeah. It happens. We record certain things. Actually, that day it wasn't with Jeff. It was just Mark, I think. He was trying certain things and maybe recording other ideas and stuff.
But you had the bare bones of Uptown Funk.
The track was there, the drums. They had recorded the drums the weekend before in there with that drum kit, and Bruno was playing it. And for a week, every night it's like, can you come tomorrow? Oh, can you come tomorrow? Can you come tomorrow? So then we move on, and when Jeff is here, we do guitars on the Studer, and we were doing very interesting things. Mark wanted to experiment with sound. Mark is great because he wants to experiment with sound a lot before the meeting, which is great. So we were running different things through effects, to the H3000, to the 910. I believe I'm trying to remember, but the main thing was like we wanted to have the Studer and use the vari speed of the Studer to have a different sound for the guitar. So if you play slower, so we basically had the track bounce to tape. And then we will be like a tone down, and he would just transpose it.
Slower,
But then the sound of the normal speed will be thinner and more like like that kind of like Prince Kiss sort of guitar. And And that was great. I've never done that.
Yeah.
It's really experiment, and
Amazing.
I like to experiment. It's all about that, I think. From my point of view, from a technical point of view, it's great.
Was that Jeff's idea then to do that?
I think it was Mark's idea.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure. I
So,
got into a process where things have been going on for a bit.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that, and then we reproduced the same thing later on in the process with other things, like the claps. We tried to make the claps faster by recording them, like faster. So then, very interesting, and it works. I mean, at the end of the day,
because it's hard to do that kind of thing in Pro Tools, isn't it?
You can. There's a VC has got VSO.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not quite the same.
It's not. It doesn't even have the same range that you have on the Studer. Like it will go down a lot, but up not that much.
I know, yeah.
And then
all these things we've lost by going to Pro Tools.
Exactly, and it's more interesting with the Studer because sound characteristics and stuff, the bass bump.
Yeah.
So then after a week, while we were doing Uptown Funk and all that, I get told, but not by Mark, but by Mark's assistant. Oh, by the way, like literally. Oh, by the way, you're hired.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Fantastic.
So, and that was the beginning, and I have to say, since that day, it was a train running.